Good morning, everyone. I welcome you into this wonderful live broadcast. Today, I'm going to be engaging in a sacred conversation with Rama Raphael, who is the founder of the School of the Divine Masculine. And today's sacred conversation is about exploring the way of the sacred man. And during this 2021 year of unfoldment, very significant part of the evolution of humanity at this time is to support men in stepping into the role of the divine masculine and to embody those wisdoms and love and light frequencies into our human form. So I'm just going to introduce Rama for those that don't know who Rama is. Rama is a divine father emissary, an elder, spiritual warrior, guide and teacher who carries the lineage and teachings of the sacred masculine. As an initiator of men and young men, Rama brings wisdom teachings for the men's spiritual warrior journey into the truth, love, strength, compassion, integrity, and power of the masculine path. Rama is deeply dedicated to the restoration and growth of the sacred brotherhood on earth. So Rama, I really welcome you into the space today. Thank you for being willing to share your wisdom and love with us.
Thank you, Nicholas. I'm just aware that it's been quite a while since we've had one of our interviews. And I guess part of that is because for a while there, we were both traveling in different parts of the globe. And so it's just always a joy to sit with you and see what transpires, what inspires us, and what we can deliver to all those who are watching and listening. Absolutely. A very big welcome to all of the men and a very big welcome to all of the women. And I guess in terms of the School of the Sacred Masculine, I was pulsed with this in 2017 in Poland, actually. And Kalyana, my beloved, and I had been on a global tour. And in Poland, I was received a commission from a group of elders to create the School of the Sacred Masculine. So blessings to Poland and blessings to the Temple of Rainbow Lights, where we were running that very beautiful Sacred Union workshop.
Amazing. And Rama, it's we've known each other for about 6 years. We have a mutual friend, Sandra, who's now also based in Bahrain, that introduced me to you and Kalyana through the Sacred Union workshop, which was an amazing 2-day event. And I've actually attended that twice now. Very deep work, and it was such a blessing to be with such two wonderful elders, really fully embodying the sacred masculine and feminine, and to share that with younger men and women. And I've really treasured those teachings all the way back in 2015. But we've also done some private one-on-one working with the divine masculine, and so I'm very familiar with your work. And I'm also familiar with the Divine University, which you're connected with quite strongly. And really wanting to honor your dedication and commitment. And I also wanted to share with people, Rama is surfs every morning, very fit, very healthy. And I think as a role model for the younger men out there, I certainly would love to be as fit and healthy, active, sharp, and relentlessly committed to my path, even in my eldership years. So thank you for being such a wonderful way shower for us younger generations.
Oh, thank you, Nicholas. Yes, I'm rugged up and the heater is on because this morning the surf was very chilly. It was magnificent, a magnificent sunrise. The air was 7 degrees, the water was 22. So I'm currently in warm-up mode here. And so from the warmth of our hearts and Nicholas, I guess the love, the passion, the joy of doing the work, sharing the work, if we can give people that inspiration in these tumultuous times, we have many descriptions of what's going on, but tumultuous certainly. But one of the key teachings, I guess, of the energy of the sacred masculine as distinct in its energetic expression from the feminine is the great capacity for stillness. And if there's anything I believe that marks eldership, it's that capacity to sit in stillness and in our presence, in that which is eternal, as we walk our earthly life and do our daily tasks, as we wrestle with our own personal history, as we work with love in action, how we can live our love, speak our love, and speak our power as well. And somewhere at the heart of the masculine, there is a deep stillness. And that actually takes me to a memory. And if we take the scenario of a woman birthing, in the extremes of opening to the sheer power that comes with the birthing process, and the father's role and task is to hold, is to be present. And there is a stillness and a protection that a man is capable of transmitting as his beloved opens up to this great majesty and mystery of birthing. And so holding this stillness, I feel, is one of the great signatures of the sacred masculine. So that when divine energy flows through us and the father stream of the divine father flows through, it has a different energetic to the flow of the divine feminine. But of course, as you would have experienced in our sacred union workshops, we're aiming for that balance within, for that inner marriage of the masculine feminine, just as the women are. And yes, I'm very connected with the Divine University, and the gender component in the university is, well, there's about a dozen men and there's about 74 women. And it is the women globally who are leading this powerful spiritual renaissance. And I know at the last, the full moon eclipse, the blood moon, I had a small group at the beach at Byron, and under that blood moon, I felt at its very peak, its apex, this incredible flow of feminine energy, the Divine Mother, flowing through the earth and around the earth and embracing the earth. And if we as men can align to that energy, that incredibly soft and yet incredibly powerful energy, and the deep nurturing inherent in that, then we can balance that with our masculine stream. And that's the inner marriage, the dynamic, the beautiful dynamic. And I'm just having another memory here. And this is actually in Geneva in about 2015. And I have the great pleasure and privilege of being a transmitter, a channel, if you like, for many beings from the higher realms, from the angelic realms, the ascended realms, and the universal realms. And two of those beings that are very close to my heart are the Magdalene, or Lady Nada in her higher light body, and Yeshua the Christ, or Sananda in his higher light body. And prior to this time in Geneva, they would come through me and speak as two individuals to individual energies, bringing their love and their wisdom streams. But on this day, they said to me, Rama, they said, today we'll speak as one voice. And when they did, it was an exquisite experience, but they showed me the template of the ever perfected and perfecting union in the higher planes. And as a twin flame couple, they showed me infinite power, infinite love, infinite support, infinite cooperation. Now, that template is challenging to live up to on the earth plane. But I'm often reminded of what is our potential while we occupy these amazing bodies on earth. What is our potential, and how can we live that potential as men and as women?
And Rama, a quick question. You've been doing men's work or involved with men's work for over 35 years. What was it in your own personal life that ignited the desire for you to focus on men and really want to be of service to men? Was there any kind of catalyst or scenario that unfolded?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This was 1987, year of the harmonic convergence, if anybody remembers. And at that stage, I'd been running groups, mixed groups, rebirthing, bioenergetics, for about 7 years, something like that. I met my beloved Kalyana, but she was living some 3 or 4 hours south, but I knew that I was moving there. So I set out on a vision quest to our sacred mountain here, Wollumbin, or Mount Warning, easternmost part of Australia. Receives the first light of the sun on the east coast. And so I climbed in the dark and I let go of the past. And even, maybe halfway up the mountain, I heard clearly the voice, just as I heard the voice in the helicopter in Vietnam in 1969, giving me my first commission. And when I hear that voice, I obey. And so I got to the top of the mountain and very clearly I heard, focus now on men's work, focus on the men. And so I took that commission from the top of the mountain with the sunrise, and I took that to Bellingen, which is where Kalyana was living. And nobody knew me, but within a month or so, I'd put out to run a 3-day men's retreat, beautiful venue by the river, and 12 men came. I was the 13th. And that was my first men's retreat in 87. And then about a year after that, one of the women of the valley, one of the mothers, came up to me and said, I would like you to initiate my 13-year-old son. So I then explored, what does that mean? What does initiation mean for a teenager in this day and age, in, say, 1988? And so that continued a deeper exploration. I began working with adolescent young men, as well as, of course, adult men.
Rama, that's a really good point. Initiations within the mainstream world isn't something that exists so powerfully anymore compared to how it was in ancient times. All Indigenous cultures certainly had them, and of course, initiations were a part of the human experience. Whereas now, it's when you turn 18, it's go to a bar and get drunk, and these are kind of the initiations now that exist within the mainstream world. And there's a lot of young men that are quite lost and confused around, what is my role? What does it even mean to be a man? Because, as you mentioned, there's a lot of change happening on the planet, and the women are certainly in the foreground with the spiritual renaissance that you mentioned before. So from your perspective, what do you feel from the men's perspective, what is it that we're being invited to step into, and how can we best do that?
Well, in terms of evolution and in terms of cultural evolution, we've come so far, so fast in terms of the gender roles, in terms of the, let's call it, say, the dark matrix that has invaded the planet, has an off-planetary origin, and the distorted masculine that has been acting out and is still acting out on this planet. As it begins to dissolve, then it allows more and more of the inner liberation of those souls who've chosen to be in a male body at this time in order to learn those lessons of the male experience. And so a lot of the work is actually unraveling, undoing, and forgiving a lot of the male behavior within our lineage, within our family lineage. You know, we are the descendants of the invaders of this land of Australia. But beyond that, all those times, all those times of invasion of body, of property, of women, children, that now must come to an end as we recognize our divinity, we recognize our sovereignty, and we recognize our place within the great galactic civilizations of light. But it's been such an acceleration that many of the men are wondering, you know, where do I belong? Where do I fit? And I guess what I would say, Nicholas, is, you know, that small, powerful, authentic voice within that comes from the heart, that knows true power, knows the expression of love, knows equality, knows balance, knows compassion, knows forgiveness. We all know this. You know, I guess we've heard the phrase transhumanism and, you know, the relationship with AI, with artificial intelligence. Well, I have a new phrase, and that's transcendent humanism. That is, we recognize our divinity, our inherent transcendent nature, and our capacity to access the many, many dimensions of light, the many, many frequencies of light, while we live our fully human selves, while we have the great privilege of having an emotional body capable of experiencing such depths and such heights, such wonder, such fear, if you choose, or anger, but also such awe and wonder and joy and ecstasy. And so that's an enormous privilege. And so as we do our best to live our very best earth life, we also instill the practices. And, you know, any initiation in any culture of young men, of young women, requires good old-fashioned discipline, focus, willpower. And this is true. You know, close to here, yes, there's Wollumban Mount Warning. It's a male initiation site for men of high degree, very powerful site. But not far from there, and I've taken men and teenage boys on this journey, is an adolescent male, a teenage boy initiation site, a Bora ring. And I've done ceremony and initiations in there as well. And when you go to these places and you feel the imprints, the patterning that have been in this land, I'm talking Australia, but it's equally true. My heart is very much in South America, although physically I've never been there. However, I've been to Mexico. In any of the deep indigenous wisdoms, there is these disciplines of initiation for the highest good of the tribe. And what I'm saying now is for the highest good of humanity, the evolution of humanity and the reclaiming of our celestial birthrights, then we need these initiations, which require discipline, focus, and paradoxically, surrender. And then we move into another level of consciousness. We have a breakthrough. Sometimes this can be very physical. And I guess what we're dealing with the School of the Sacred Masculine, it's a 10-month online intensive for men. And at the completion of that, we will, at some stage in the future, have a 10-day retreat, a physical retreat here at Rosebank, not far from where I live in Byron Bay. And that's in the great unknown at this stage. So what we're doing and what I've been guided to do and experimenting with is how can we bring forth the streams of activation and initiation electronically using this medium, because all this is happening in this beautiful eternal now moment. So how can we gather this beautiful resource that can reach into the far corners of the earth? And how can we do the work? This is a learning. We don't know. We haven't done it before. I'm originally an osteopath. I love to touch and feel and smell and experience people. And I do have been missing that lack of contact and a group energetic. Having said that, what I know is capable, what is possible through using this medium, our medium, for our meditations, activations, and possibly initiations. It's a work in progress and it's experiment. But for the young men who, we've all fairly chaotically self-initiated, drugs, alcohol, cars, tattoos, injuries, blood, fairly clumsily tried to self-initiate. And I've done what I've tried to do over the past few decades to make those initiations more conscious. And often the power of the land, that is where we do these initiations. So the land does the work and we tap into the heart of the Mother Earth. And Nicholas, I really don't know very much, but one thing I do know is the depth of the love that the Mother Earth has for us, for all of humanity, in fact, for all her creatures, but for humanity. And the level of forgiveness and patience that she has is just enormous. And, times have been very critical, particularly in the last century, nuclear detonations, etc. And she needs our prayers and she needs our love. And every act of kindness, every act of forgiveness that we do is a gift to the earth. And when we truly forgive, and it's really the core of our work, of Kalyana and my work, is forgiveness and the depths of forgiveness. When one human being truly forgives another, then there is celebration in the universe. There is rejoicing in the galactic centers. And so forgiveness becomes such a key element. And for men, we need to forgive ourselves. And I'm just remembering we were running a workshop in Tasmania, and a mixed group, men and women. And in that process, I work with the men, Kalyana works with the women for a part of the time. We come together and we offer and ask forgiveness of each other through this lifetime and through any lineage that are relevant. And Another large part of my work is embodiment. Embodiment of presence. Yes, I'm a Divine Father emissary, but also I and all of us are capable of embodiment and connection with the nature kingdom. If I said right now to everybody listening, watching, right now, what is your totem animal? And there will be a response for now. But we are multidimensional beings, capable of connecting to the heart flames of all the creatures of the earth, great and small, from the smallest green frog to the largest blue whale, to the heart flame of that being. And one of the great gifts of being human is that expansion, flexibility, multidimensionality of consciousness, which allows us to embody our angelic nature and express our angelic nature, to acknowledge and express our galactic nature from the many star systems that we've inhabited, the great wealth of experience that our souls have traversed. And so when we say embodiment, well, I do the dolphin embodiment at dawn this mornings. It's one of my favorites.
Rama, it's there's quite a lot of there is a lot of men's work out there, and I've participated in various trainings and groups and perspectives and angles, and one level of it is definitely to connect to the earth and what it means to be here as a human being, and to transcend, let's say, the collective conditioning that we've been programmed with. But what you're also sharing here is to really open ourselves up to our galactic and celestial heritages, which isn't such a commonly known term, particularly in for men. I know it's certainly more acceptable and resonates more with women generally. And I feel that what you're really sharing here is that through that, the opening of those connections, that we can bring more of who we truly are into this earth, into our human form, and with more potency and clarity, bring forth the missions that we've come forth to express on this planet at this time. So maybe you could share with the audience a little bit around what the School of the Sacred Masculine will be focusing on over the 9 months. What are some of the key initiations or elements? You've mentioned forgiveness, you've mentioned focus and discipline and devotion, but maybe there's some other elements that you would like to share with people.
Thank you. And Nicholas, it's actually 10 months. So from conception, gestation and birth, and then a month of nurturing. And then we'll go big. Then, of course, there will be tremendous support. This is about the restoration of the brotherhood. And key to that restoration, and of course within the school, is the element of trust. For men to learn once again to truly trust each other. Because a lot of that trust has been broken. It's been broken through sexual abuse, through violence, through betrayal, just in this lifetime alone, perhaps, and through many lifetimes. But at the core of the brotherhood connection is a very, very deep trust. And that knowing, that recognition that we are divine. And once we get beyond the fear, once we move beyond the wounding of the betrayal or abuse or whatever, then there is a beautiful, powerful connection that we can treasure and relish. And so trust, the restoration of trust, but that trust extends beyond the personal and the interpersonal, but it extends into the ability to trust our intuition. And I'll be teaching very much. How to access that intuition, how to listen to the wisdom of the heart, how to expand the heart to perhaps somewhere it hasn't known this lifetime, but to also extend the capacity to attune to the higher realms, to attune more deeply to the earth. Because before we came to earth, we signed a contract, but we were probably tested. Would we be strong enough as souls to come to the earth, to take on an earth body and all that entailed in this third dimensional density? And remember, because, it's planet amnesia, but the veils are lifting, the veils are getting thinner and thinner, and it's becoming easier and more fluid to tune into those higher dimensions. And that's one of my great joys, is to teach how to do that on a daily basis, an hourly basis, how to track consciousness 24 hours a day through sleep, to track where we go at night, the counsels we sit upon, the decisions we make. And so trust is an enormous part of the journey of the school. Faith is another one. And knowing, the unshakable knowing, the absolute certainty, the dissolving of doubt, the knowing that I am an eternal and divine being, choosing to occupy a magnificent earth vessel at this time. There are many streams will be... Yes?
I was going to say, Rama, the trust element is probably one of the most difficult initiation on planet Earth, to really trust myself, trust life, and to trust the unseen. Much of how our modern day life has been structured is based on security, belonging, comfort, and wanting to be able to predict how life will be. And a lot of the initiations is to unravel all of that and to be willing to consistently move surrender into the unknown, into the mystery of life. And often that requires there is a lot of change and sometimes chaos as the old is broken up. So what I'm hearing is that part of the 10-month journey with you is to support men to have that absolute knowing and faith that no matter what happens, that all will unfold in exactly the way that it's meant to.
Yeah. And people talk about, security and anxiety, we need a lot of humor in this time. I go, you're on a big wet ball spinning through space. What are you worried about? But having said, yeah. And that is a miracle. Every breath is a miracle. The birth of every child is a miracle. We've been focusing on death and numbers a lot lately. Right now, there are twice as many babies being born onto this planet as souls that are exiting. Twice as many. Every breath is a miracle. This is a miracle on this magnificent wet ball that we call Earth. Her mysteries, her energies, and the energy of Gaia. And Gaia is much bigger than the Earth, the physical Earth. But it takes enormous courage to live with this unknown, because the part of us that craves comfort and security and the known. But the deeper we dive and the more we recognize all of the lifetimes, all of the decisions, all of the learnings, and the richness of that, and then coming to this one. And, the universal law of reflection, well, it's expanding, it's increasing, and God bless the internet, but there's not a lot of reflection of our innate divinity through mainstream media, etc. So it's part of our task to have the courage to live our truth, speak our truth, express our love in any situation, to honor our own sovereignty and to honor the sovereignty of another without judgment. You know, even with this so-called pandemic, and even with the choices that people make based on the information they have, it's very important that we keep bridging our hearts to each other, regardless of the choices we make. And even those, those ones who carry some of the darkest, densest energies and the energies of control, they've forgotten their divinity. They've forgotten their light. They've forgotten their eternal connection to Source. It's that level of amnesia. And yes, there may be a lot of karma and a lot of forgiveness, or who knows. But having that courage to say, I will stand in my light. I will express my love. I will trust, because we are surrounded by our guides, our own individual team, nudging us, whispering in our ear, protecting us. And so we want to connect more deeply with that team. I have a wonderful team guiding me, pushing me with the School of the Sacred Masculine. A team of, if you like, masculine beings, a team of feminine beings, continually pulsing me. And I treasure those connections, just as I treasure the connections with my brothers on earth. And it's very heartening. I've noticed in Australia the last 2 or 3 years, because I've been involved in men's work and men's festivals, and where the numbers at the festivals have doubled in the last 2 or 3 years, and the younger men are now stepping forth. And so many great men are doing wonderful work. And that's very, very heartening. And that's just in Australia. And it is said that Australia is the land of the new teachings. And, having spent those last 6, 7 years traveling overseas, I came to truly value what's coming out of the heart of Australia and what's emanating from the heart of Uluru, solar plexus, heart of the planet, and from the Uluru portal as well. And so the other component, yes, it's deeply personal, the work. We need to heal the wounds. We need to forgive. We need to trust. We need to connect. And there is a vulnerability that goes with that.
And Rama, at a time when the coronavirus pandemic is creating noticeable separation, you can, like, for example, when I go for a run in the morning, I'm currently in Sydney, we're in a lockdown at the moment. People really do avoid, they really make sure they're about 2 meters away from from everyone. And just noticing, the fear, anxiety in people's eyes of, thinking maybe that person might give something to me or pass something on to me, and that concern and worry for their well-being and health. It feels like community and tribe and people that you can really trust and dive deep with feels paramount at this time. And part of the 10-month journey that you're offering, it's a group journey and an opportunity to build, as you mentioned, strong brotherhood connections and linkages with people we've probably had soul connections with from other times. I've participated in some of these journeys in other times, and I'm always blown away, even if it's with people on the other side of the planet, like the recognition and the remembrance and the joy of finding these very precious connections, where even if it's been eons of time since we've seen each other, there's that remembrance and that joy and that warmth. So I just wanted to mention that, because for people that are looking for connection and tribe, this may be an opportunity for them to find like-hearted, minded beings through this 10-month process.
Absolutely. This is the restoration of the brotherhood. It's a commission from the family of light. And there are men out there who are soul contracted. And now our job is to let people know. And it's already started. men have already signed up, and there is a preparation module that's already gone out. There's recordings to listen to, the Ancient Father Circle that I've created. And there's the Yeshua codes that my beloved has brought through. And so in a sense, the school has already started because there are preparation modules, although the school proper starts on the spring equinox in September, or the autumn equinox in the Northern Hemisphere. And so that regathering of the family, the tribe, it's my great treasure to have an incredible and supportive soul family of the Divine University. You know, we are a group of, you know, rebellious souls who are healers and teachers in their own right. We're psychologists, social workers, therapists, healers, channels, but we've chosen to come together to work in group consciousness, because in the higher realms, that's how things work. The higher beings, and it's a great treasure to go to those places, come together in group consciousness and make group decisions from source ultimately. But of course, that energy is stepped down through the various galactic centers to bring through the energies and the actions that are appropriate. You know, for example, in this quadrant of the universe, there is phenomenal support from many, many galactic civilizations for the upliftment, for the liberation of Earth and the liberation of humanity. The planet has called, she has cried out, and the call has been heard. And the more that we connect to that, the more we realize we're far from alone. We are surrounded by the most supportive, loving, my God, technologically advanced civilizations. And, you know, whenever I bring it through a transmission through the various beings, angelics or ascended ones, then there is a theme, and that is an honoring of who we are and how brave we are as humans to come to Earth and to come into the third dimension and to encounter all of the challenges of being human. And they commend us and always remind us that they are by our side. And please ask for help. We are here to help. When Yeshua comes, you know, he says, I come as a brother. An advanced brother, yes, but a brother nonetheless who has walked the human path. Saint Germain, another one, instrumental in the establishment of the original blueprint of the United States of America, and many, many, many others. Yeah. And so the more that we align to those, yeah.
Just a quick shout out to people. If you've got any questions, please type them in the chat box. We will receive them as we are nearing the end of this wonderful transmission. So please, if you have any questions about the way of the sacred man or anything that Rama or myself have been sharing today, please, we welcome any questions, comments, insights, and we'll engage with you through the chat box. Just wanted to let people know they can engage with us. So Rama, any kind of final pieces of wisdom or anything you would like to share with men at this time to support them in being able to make powerful choices in their personal lives and integrate their human everyday responsibilities with their divine nature?
There's a really simple beginning phrase which says, I love myself, therefore. I love myself, therefore I will choose to consume nourishing food and drink. I love myself, therefore I will surround myself with loving, supportive companions, friends, family. I love myself, therefore I will honor my inherent divinity in whatever forms that I choose. And whenever we say that phrase, of course, love brings up anything unlike itself, then we can see, where am I being unloving to myself? Where do I criticize, judge, blame myself, not forgive myself? Do I have something that I feel is maybe unforgivable? What are the thoughts, the recurring thought patterns that I have that are less than loving to myself? Because it's about being in love with ourselves. And so anything that is less than loving will reveal itself. And so there may be some patterns, habits. There may be some, substance, alcohol, patterns around exercise, for example, balance in life. And, you've got a full-time job. You've got kids to support. You've got a mortgage, financial pressure. There's time for maybe a bit of distraction, a bit of escape. I fully honor that. And I would say, rather than escape and distraction, bend your will, place your discipline and your focus on a meditation, a practice. There are so many out there now, easily accessible. What's happened since the pandemic is that many, many global teachers are offering their work for free online, and high quality teachings. How to walk a spiritual path, how to walk an earth path. There is no separation. The greatest illusion is this belief in separation. We're separate from the earth, separate from each other, separate from source, separate from the stars. And dissolving that illusion of separation is probably the biggest part of my work and my teaching. And so wherever you're at in your life, and change is not necessarily comfortable. Initiation is not comfortable. This is about moving out of the comfort zone. That's the courage of the warrior, the spiritual warrior, to have that bravery, to be willing to go through the initiation, to go into the unknown, to go where others perhaps fear to tread, to not stay what we call safe. Because the only real security are in the arms of Mother, Father, God, in the divine, and in the arms of Mother Earth. Every breath, every drink, every food, is a nourishment, is a gift. Every human connection. And those people who are in fear of their life, fear of the lung disease, send them love, antidote the fear wherever you go, antidote the fear. I mean, be sensible by all means, but fear has no place here. And fear divides, fear separates. So with all that great love in our hearts, antidote the fear, balance it. We need to increase the light quotient, the love quotient on the planet. We can do it internally or when we walk down the street, when we see the fear. We smile internally or externally, and we give that love. We may have a large task. We may have a large global project, Nicholas, you're aligned to that. I'm aligned to it. We may have a path very much within the family. We may have a solo path. All our contributions are of value. None is greater or less than another. None of us is greater or less than another. We are all equal in our divinity. We're all equal in our light. In this age of remembering. And there are models of men out there. There are models of men. But the way of the sacred man is to remember his innate sacredness and to honor the sacredness in all women and to honor the sacredness in all life.
Beautiful. We've got a question actually, which your last comment really ties in quite nicely, from Sandra Davidson. And it's saying, would Rama, beloved, do anything for women?
Oh, well, Sandra, if you're asking the question, I work a lot with women, of course, in mixed groups. It would be my enormous honor to facilitate a group for women. If you're willing to initiate and gather that, then I will come. It would be my great honor to gift that to women. The more that we can understand each other, this is what it's like to live in a male body. If you like, a male mind, or a mind that's been conditioned into thinking in male or masculine ways, male sexuality. The more that we can step into each other's shoes, which is actually easier than we imagine. We've been in male, female bodies through many lifetimes. We've been opposite sex oriented. We've been same sex. We've been on the whole spectrum of that. But the more that we can remember and understand each other, then the deeper empathy we have for each other and for our journeys. And it's been a wonderful, 100,000 women rise up in Australia, march in sisterhood, go to Canberra where they will not meet with the women. The full empowerment now of the women on every level, and the full empowerment of the men. And together, hand in hand, we hold each other. Immense power in that. Freedom rally in Australia, across many countries across the planet. And freedom, true freedom, really, true freedom, is the recognition that we are eternal beings. And soon enough, we will leave this body behind. And we shall continue great journeys and great adventures. That's true freedom. However, the level of oppression on the planet must be dealt with, must be liberated. I had a wonderful journey to Andromeda a few years ago, and I was struck by many things. One was the beauty and the size and the silence of the technology and the architecture. But even more than that, here was a civilization not living under dark influence, living under the law of one, where every being on that civilization was honored and was taught in their full creativity, to allow that creativity uniquely to blossom and flourish. And it was wonderful, that Andromedan journey. And that's our potential. That's our future on Earth. There are many celestial cities of light and citadels of light anchoring around the Earth. And sometimes Kalyana, that's our work, which somehow seems to be connected to the forgiveness situation. And there are many wonderful, wonderful beings who are working with the portals, the lines, the sacred lines of the Earth as well. So the liberation has to happen on every level: political, economic, cultural. This is our future.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thanks so much, Rama. Also, just honouring some of the other comments, thanking Aurora, Aaron, and some other comments where we can't see the name of the person. It just says Facebook user, but thank you for your prayers and hearts and well wishes. One comment, Rama, wise words from a wise man. So I'll just show that. There we go. I'm not sure who it is, but just appreciating everyone for being with us today. As this sharing, this transmission, we're going to bring it to a close shortly. And just really wanting to thank you, Rama. Thank you for saying yes to this big project and initiation, and quite a task that you have. But having a look at the mentors and the people that are supporting you, it's a well structured journey, and there's a lot of love, a lot of work and care that has been put into this. And as you mentioned, it came through in 2019, so it's been permeating in the ethers for a while.
2017. Yeah.
Oh, 20, okay, even longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's been developing and brewing, and now it's manifesting. So really wanting to encourage people who are feeling the pulse or the resonance, whether there's an awareness or not. I know for me, sometimes I join things not really understanding why, and then after or in the process, it makes sense. So trusting the intelligence of the heart and the innate wisdom to make a decision and choice that feels right for you.
Yeah.
So Rama, any last closing words or comments or sharings?
Well, with the school, yes. I mean, I am the principal teacher, but I have a wonderful team from the Divine University. There's 4 men, 4 women. It's the men who are delivering most of the work, with tremendous support from the women, from the wise women who support me as well. And so it's again working in group consciousness. So within the school, you'll be held and stretched, nurtured, challenged by myself and by our team. It's an intense program. There's no question of that. It will require commitment. It'll require time. If there's any questions, please go to the website. It's www.schoolofthesacredmasculine. Talk to me, and any questions at all. And Sandra, I would love to follow up with the potential for a group for women.
I've posted the link in the comment section so people can access it very easily, and Rama would be happy to answer any questions. Also, if you're listening to this transmission after the live broadcast, we will check the comment section and get back to you whenever we can. So thanking everyone so much for your time, your love. Thank you for being in this very warm and open-hearted energy that we've been co-creating together for the last hour or so, and really wanting to honor and thank Rama for his time and love and wisdom and care. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what unfolds. Many, many blessings.
Thank you, Nicholas. It's always a treasure to do this with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone. We'll connect with you all very shortly. Thank you.
Namaste and aloha, and see you later.
Bye for now.